reaction to the Queensland borders opening up to Victoria?
Well, clearly Victoria is an important market. Melbourne in particular is a very important market. And with the advice yesterday of Sydney also opening up, two major, or the two biggest cities in Australia will now have access to back to the Sunshine Coast. So I'm sure our airport in particular and all of our tourism operators, whether they're involved in attractions or accommodation or meals or events, will be very excited.
I know you touched on it just then, but how vital are the southern markets to Sunshine?
Oh, look, they're critical for our region and I guess even beyond our region into Noosa and Kalula and areas like that where, given that most of these people will be arriving by aeroplanes from Sydney and Melbourne into our airport, it's really important for the broader regional economy. Great for the Sunshine Coast, and we really look forward to welcoming as many as we can. I think people can feel quite confident that the health risk has been minimised given the wonderful outcomes we've seen, particularly in Victoria and in Melbourne.
How great is it that we're getting it before Christmas as well? How much of our business is it?
Well, I think it's really important because obviously people want time to make plans, and there'll be lots of family reunions and family Christmases and the like that will ensure that people want to be with their families, and that'll mean some people will be leaving here to go and join their families elsewhere as well. But in the main, we're a very attractive destination at Christmas time, and on behalf of all the tourism operators, we welcome those visitors with open arms. Look, there are 77 council areas in Queensland, and some of them massive areas in the outback in particular, where they're relatively small populations, but they're an increasingly popular destination for tourism. And when you think about how important tourism is for Queensland, we're talking about the potential for $20 million a day being spent with the borders reopened. So whether it's in the Airlie Beach area or Cairns or Quilpie or Winton, people going to see the age of dinosaurs. I mean, there's just so much for people to see and do in Queensland, and I think the shutdown has perhaps prompted people to go to places they might not have considered before. And let's hope we can compound on that and the entire Queensland economy can benefit.
Mayor, beyond tourism, what do you think this borders opening up is going to do for general commerce, people who may have been sitting unsure about what their next move are going to be? Do you think it's going to provide that confidence for people to start making decisions and start getting their wheels of their businesses going again?
Yeah, look, the market relies on certainty, and whilst I think there is still a risk with the virus, we've learned a lot of lessons from where we were, say, back in March of this year about how to deal with it. And that's had very important outcome as we're talking about now. But the market loves certainty. I think we will see, as we have seen, lots of people looking to move to Queensland, to establish businesses here. I think in a Sunshine Coast context, it should be good for the announcement we made last week with Walker Corporation, establishing a development partnership in the city centre of Maroochydore. But it'll be good for the state but certainly good for the Sunshine Coast.
Are you already seeing more people moving here? I mean, is your data stacking up some of the things you're being fed at the moment?
I had some advice from our property department yesterday that they're doing about 100 property transfers a day. That's about double, perhaps not quite double what we would normally do. Now, these are people who've made a purchase decision. Now, obviously, they're buying a house off somebody else who might be upgrading, might be moving on. So I can't tell you exactly what it does to the population growth numbers, but what it does show is that we've got a very, very hot real estate market. I understand there's many examples of people from the south, Victoria and New South Wales, buying property sight unseen, just so desperate to get to this region.
So double on pre-COVID levels?
Double on pre-COVID levels, yes. Well, almost double. I think we were doing sort of 50 to 60 a day. It's now up to 100.
There's been some talk about whether the borders should have been opened. I mean, we're still waiting another week, basically, where we could open them potentially now. I know there's been a lot of discussion around that on the state level. Where do you stand?
Well, I've been happy to support the best health advice, and the best health advice has been that until we're certain, we shouldn't expose ourselves to any further risk. I think that was clearly demonstrated in the election result in terms of what people thought here in Nambour, in the seat of Nicklin. and in Caloundra, but also elsewhere around the state. Generally, the mayors have been happy with the Chief Health Officer's decision-making process thus far, and just being, I guess, a little extra cautious by a couple more days isn't the end of the world. I think it gives everyone a chance to gear up and be ready, and I think come December 1, there'll be a lot more smiles on people's faces.